Oh, hi, everybody. I'm filming this on my selfie stick. As you can see, we're in the Airbnb in Switzerland. There's Adi Amini, Benji Chung, and Lincoln J busy editing today's videos. I'm not going to interrupt them, although my voice is probably distracting them. They're pretty locked in on what they're doing. We spent the entire day in Davos running around chasing VVIPs, and boy, did we ever catch some. I tell you, Justin Trudeau himself, we bumped into him, and in his new squeeze, the rock star Katy Perry, they were just walking down the promenade like nothing, and that's fine. But you see, if they were in Canada and we approached them, police would stop us from asking questions. Obviously, I want police to stop anyone from harming a politician. I don't believe in violence at all. But in Canada, police are used for other purposes. They're used for political purposes. And as you know, when our reporters ask questions of Justin Trudeau or Chrystia Freeland or any number of other high officials, they're at the very least arrested, sometimes roughed up a bit, and sometimes taken to jail. I myself was taken to jail briefly for a political offense. It's very different here in Switzerland, which is very interesting to me. There are police everywhere with serious weapons, I should tell you, and there's even military out to protect the Davos World Economic Forum. But they do not lift a finger if you're just scrumming a politician. And I think Justin Trudeau forgot that. I'll show you the video of the interaction we had. Trudeau alternated giving me the silent treatment, gaslighting me by lying about something, or in a few cases, actually giving some sort of an answer. I'll come to that video in a moment, but first I want to talk about the speech that Mark Carney gave at the World Economic Forum. Isn't it funny that Mark Carney, Chrystia Freeland, Justin Trudeau, they were all here in Davos, as so many other Canadian politicians were. I actually bumped into Francois-Philippe Champagne. These are all World Economic Forum young leaders are all trained and groomed here at this socialist globalist convention. It's quite crazy when you think about it. There's so many conspiracies out there about, well, who controls the world? Is it the Freemasons? Is it the Jews? Well, I have to tell you, just from observation and their own confession, the World Economic Forum, they control a lot of things. Or as Klaus Schwab, the founder of the World Economic Forum, says, we have penetrated the cabinets. Remember what he said that?
What we are very proud of now, the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina, and so on, that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more, half of this cabinet, are for our actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
Well, Klaus Schwab is gone, but his successor is even worse. It's Larry Fink, the boss of the $20 trillion asset management company, BlackRock. It's incredible. And I have to say, actually, this year's conference of the World Economic Forum is the largest ever, not just in terms of delegates who are attending, but in terms of speakers. And listen, I have to give them credit. Donald Trump himself is coming. Javier Milei, Vladimir Zelensky, of course, is coming. There's so many politicians, world leaders, NGOs, business people. They've actually never been stronger, which is terrifying to me. Now, I hope and I think that Donald Trump is coming to lay down the law a little bit. When he spoke to the World Economic Forum in his first term, he basically came to counter-signal their messages on everything from freedom to the free market to American sovereignty. So maybe he'll be doing a bit of that. I don't know. I have to say one of the things on the minds and on the lips of delegates the past couple of days has been Trump's diplomacy and maybe his lack thereof in regards to Greenland and Denmark. I even saw a U.S. Senator named Chris Coons here who was blasting the president in public. I mean, normally foreign policy disputes are handled within a country, but the Democrats and even some wobbly Republicans don't like what Trump is doing and are not afraid to share that with the world. It's really a fascinating thing to observe. But I want to show you Mark Carney's speech, because remember, Carney just spent a few days on his world anti-American tour. I think that's the fairest way to describe it. He went to Communist China and announced a new world order. That clip is just incredible.
I believe the progress that we have made in the partnership sets us up well for the new world order.
is not only starting an investment and trade relationship with Communist China, he's starting a police relationship, a security relationship, and says that we have a geopolitical agreement and partnership with China. Anita Anand simply announced that we have a new foreign policy. Just announced it, no election over it, no vote, no debate. I mean, this is the party, and this is the man, Mark Carney, who just a year ago said China is the #1 security threat to Canada. Here he is saying it.
Mr. Carney?
Well, we're in a security section. I think we didn't have a chance to talk about anything internationally. I think the biggest security threat to Canada is China.
Yeah, now he's signing up for a Chinese-dominated New World Order. He's basically choosing the Chinese orbit rather than the American bloc. And I know why he would say it. In fact, that was the subject of his speech today. He would say that the United States is behaving rather brutally, and some of the networks and systems and treaties and NGOs and friendly rules that have been evolving over the last 80 years since the end of the Second World War, well, they don't really count anymore. Now it's just raw power. Okay, there's some truth to that, but his remedy is, so therefore let us choose China? Listen, I know things aren't going smoothly with the United States right now, and in particular with Donald Trump, but Trump has gone in exactly 3 years. In fact, today, if I'm not mistaken, is the anniversary of his inauguration. He's only got 3 years left, and you want to completely realign Canada's orbit towards China, an authoritarian dictatorship, because you're offended by Trump? Just incredible. Here, let me show you a few excerpts from Carney's speech. I'll just play a few minutes of these.
We understand that this rupture calls for more than adaptation. It calls for honesty about the world as it is. We are taking the sign out of the window. We know the old order is not coming back. We shouldn't mourn it. Nostalgia is not a strategy. But we believe that from the fracture, we can build something bigger, better, stronger, more just. This is the task of the middle powers. The countries that have the most to lose from a world of fortresses and a most to gain from genuine cooperation. The powerful have their power, but we have something too. The capacity to stop pretending, to name reality, to build our strength at home, and to act together. That is Canada's path. We choose it openly and confidently, and it is a path wide open to any country willing to take it with us.
But you've just been to the other great power, to China. And I think people are very intrigued by seeing that meeting. And some people say, kind of, that's a mistake, really, because you're going to make yourself more dependent on China. They're not that benign either. The US will be very annoyed. What's the defense of what you're doing, and what do you hope to get out of it?
Well, the first thing is to say it's not a defense. It's an I know the way you framed the question, but it's offense. It's building out. It's something positive as opposed to against. We're for something as opposed to being against. The second is there are very clear guardrails in that relationship. I spoke of calibration of relationships in my remarks. That's what I mean by it. But within those clear guardrails are huge opportunities in energy, both clean and conventional, obviously in motor vehicles, in agriculture, in financial services, all of which is mutually beneficial. So it's additive. And look, it's the second largest economy and it's our second largest trading partner. We should have a strategic partnership with them within those guardrails, and that's what we've achieved.
President Trump and a lot of people who agree with him condemn globalism a lot. And I suspect, you would be the kind of epitome of a globalist. You worked for Goldman Sachs, I believe. You were a central banker. You're comfortable and lived in several countries. Is globalism, first of all, is it a thing? And is it over?
I think, look, understanding how the world works, having appreciation for other cultures, understanding the connections, and being able to, or at least appreciating ways that how we connect, whether it's through technology, trade, investment, culture, can enrich our lives, and that's a good thing, and also help solve problems. Being detached from where you live and the broader needs of society, there is an epithet for that. I don't know that the G word is the one. There's certainly what we're finding, to go back to the points I was making, is that there are a number of like-minded countries that want to work through partnership to achieve those goals for their citizens and for the world more broadly. The call is for more to recognize what's really going on right now, and to pool their resources to the benefit of citizens. So it won't be global, it won't cover the globe, but it will be more powerful.
You know, Carney speaks in an extremely boring way, and he uses boring language. I mean, I just sort of have a checklist of, it's almost like you're playing Mark Carney bingo. Does he say transformative? Does he say catalyzing? I mean, he has his own buzzwords just the same way Justin Trudeau did too. My point is that you can say things in a boring and, MBA kind of way that is still extremely radical. And he's basically saying, we little countries should band together and stop the big countries. Except he doesn't really say that. He says we little countries in the West should band together against America. Not band together against anyone, not band together against everyone, not band together against China. Let's push back against America was basically his message. And we've talked before about how overwhelming America is in terms of foreign trade for Canada. It's like 80% of our exports. And China is way down there, basically tied with Japan and just ahead of the UK. You simply cannot artificially redraw trading patterns, given that we are adjacent to the United States. You may want to. You may even think you're morally correct to do so, but that's just not reality. And saying that you're going to go your own way in terms of the military, that's just a pipe dream. I mean, we barely have any tanks or aircraft that even work. Whenever there's a threat in Canadian airspace, it's a U.S.-based fighter jet that responds. That's not some future tense. That's right now. We have no defense over our north, and that's one of the reasons why Trump is bellicose, both towards Canada and towards Greenland. My point is Mark Carney, who's never actually done things. He was a consultant. He was at Goldman Sachs. He was at the Bank of Canada, Bank of England. I challenge you to tell me what those duties are without Googling them. And then he was a chairman, not a hands-on executive, a chairman of an asset management company who just sort of went to conferences. The guy is a good theoretician, but there is no way, even if you're morally right, that you can simply say we're not going to be in the American orbit anymore. It just doesn't work that way. China could have written his speech, I tell you, because it's such a naive speech, the result of which, if you were to follow it, would be to throw things in China's, to China's jackpot. I mean, is there anything more clear than the 49,000 Chinese-made electric vehicles that Carney just unilaterally ordered into Canada, to the surprise and dismay of Doug Ford, the premier of the province, where there actually are car factories? And that's the thing. Carney is saying he's doing this to improve Canada's position in Canadian jobs, Canadian investment in Canada. How is buying 49,000 made in China electric vehicles, how is that helping our auto industry? How is that helping investment here? It just doesn't make any sense. But, things really don't have to make sense for Mark Carney. As long as he's whipping up anti-Americanism, he'll be fine in the next election.